I bought every Vive headset. Sometimes it was like this.
Whoa.
Other times it was like this. We're going to go through them all and see how much VR has changed over the years. And I'm going to rank them from best to worst. HTC was a struggling phone manufacturer in 2012, with halving market share and declining revenue. So, Peter Chow, the CEO, knew they would have to pivot in order to survive. And at the same time, Valve were working on their own VR projects. They could clearly see the potential and began sharing research with a new startup called Oculus, and gave them testimonials for their Kickstarter campaign, in the hope that VR would be open. But then Valve's nightmare came true.
Facebook, the social networking giant, announced its first ever acquisition of a hardware company, paying $2 billion for the privately held Oculus VR.
Well, we don't know what exactly happened, but communication between Valve and Oculus came to a halt. Apparently, Valve flipped when they heard the news. But it led the way for a perfect opportunity, and within months, Gabe from Valve and Chow from HTC were hammering out a deal. They needed a way to track headsets in 3D space, so Alan Yates
invented the lighthouse tracking technology quite early in the piece. So basically, it has a spinning mirror that makes a fan beam of laser light that sweeps across the room. And you can have an object with sensors on it that can determine its orientation by essentially triangulation. It's pretty simple mathematically.
Early prototypes were basic. Then we got the Batman, followed by Robin. And then the controllers. Initial prototypes were simple trackers attached to Steam controllers. And then they secretly flew in developers to get feedback on the headset and make sure there were some games available for when it releases. Released in 2015, the DK1 was their first limited release. It looks very prototypey. They then went on to create another developer kit called the Vive Pre, which looked a lot more like a final design. And finally, the HTC Vive was released in March 2016. The headset feels really light and I love the honeycomb design. It features a 1080 by 1200 per eye resolution with a 90Hz refresh rate, weighs 470 grams, an FOV of 110 degrees, and costed $799 on release. Nice and squishy. Here's the IPD slider. It's cool to see a pass-through camera, something the Rift didn't have. It'll be interesting to test out this mic at the bottom. You can pop off the top to see the extra USB port. Short-length earphones, a link box so the headset can interface with the computer. This was the final controller design. You can charge them on the bottom with a micro USB cable, and the battery is known to last about 6 to 8 hours. There's an extra face cushion if you have a narrow face. The base stations, which come with mounting solutions, and an optical sync cable. There's a whole bunch of booklets as well. To get it set up, let's plug in the power, USB, HDMI, and then the headset plugs into the link box. I screw in the base stations and plug them into power. I'm using optical syncs, so I set the stations to B and C. I then went through the Vive setup app, and now we're on to Steam VR.
Okay, calibrate the floor. It took me a long time to get that going. Once it's on, it feels really comfy. I'm starting to notice once you jump into the game, you just forget that the resolution's even there. You just get so immersed. But if you focus on it, you can see the individual pixels. There's a thing on the side, I think you can push it closer and further away from your face. It's cool as well when it goes behind your back. I don't have to worry about it losing tracking. It tracks me all the way through my head. Boom. The colors also feel really good. They're very vibrant, just getting absolutely lost in this world like you do in VR. Let's get all of them. I can notice on my cheekbones and forehead there's a little bit of pressure, but I mean, ow. Another thing that's really cool is there's virtually no light bleed. I like as well, you just set the headset on and adjust it, and it stays where you left it. And the IPD slider isn't just randomly moving around. I'm not really noticing the weight much. The weight feels light enough. The controllers, I'm not the biggest fan of. The grip buttons on the sides are just not good. That was the wrong design choice. Definitely Oculus had the better idea where it sort of wraps around your hand. Part here does feel good. Joysticks would have been better. In terms of the refresh rate, I'm happy with that, to be honest. Forgot how cool these were. You can literally just drop your controllers and do stuff with the headset, and then when you're good to go, you pick them back up. Yeah, you can really notice in the distance up there, the resolution is just not cutting it as much. But close up, it feels perfect. I can't even see the pixels when I'm this close, but far away, forget about it. Yeah, I'm not getting used to the buttons on the sides here. They seem a bit bizarre. And I've been playing for quite a while, and it still feels pretty good on my head. Pulley system definitely is the best. It helps you know where you are in the room. The touchpad does have some uses, but I don't really think other games really used it. You drop things by clicking, it just doesn't feel as natural. You'd probably get used to it though. It's a cool use of the controller. They must have had a lot of fun just experimenting. This will be a real test of the controllers now, having to move around with this touchpad. This game is so freaking cool. That was too easy. So that releases the gun and then boom. The audio in these earphones is perfect. I think if you want to buy a Vive in today's day and age, you might as well. It still does the job. But I'm sure as we go further down the headset line, that'll change. One thing you can do with a Vive is use this front camera here. So I can even block it with my finger. So if you want to quickly grab a drink or something, I can't describe it. It's very, very, very blurry. But I mean, honestly, it does the job. What else have we got? Colored ghosts, which just shows you the ghosted world, and opaque pass-through, which is what you mainly use. This seems to be a little bit easier on the eyes. You can anchor the camera to your controller. I think this is the best way of seeing it because it's much smaller. It's actually quite high resolution. Wow. We can jump to one of the best games. The controls are a bit bizarre. It's taking a while to get used to them. I feel like a newbie VR user a little bit sudden. These controllers just don't seem to be the best for this game. I mean, maybe that's something I'll get used to, but I've been playing for a while and these grip buttons are just not it. So you actually use them to drop your gun and you have to press them both to pick them up. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking when they made them. Commotion movement with the touchpad is less than ideal. So I've been playing for about 2 or 3 hours and overall the headset just feels absolutely amazing. I'm very impressed.
I love the headset and I consider it to be a home run. I do have questions about it though, like how realistic is it to use spinning parts in the base stations? It just seems like they're prone to break. The mic was prone to picking up breath sounds. The main complaint people had at the time was the price. You needed a powerful computer to use it as well. And there was a lengthy setup time. The screen door effect is definitely noticeable, but it's a first generation device. I love the pass-through camera. It worked so well. It also felt really solid and it feels structurally sound. Compared to the Rift, which was made out of fabric. The controllers were top heavy and really needed a joystick. They're not the most comfortable thing to hold for long periods of time either with the weight on the top. The Oculus Rift controllers were just better. Even though I prefer the Rift's controllers, they didn't even come with the original release of the headset. The Vive just came with everything. At the time, the Vive was seen as the better overall option compared to the Rift, at least for enthusiasts and developers. This thing was all over YouTube in 2016.
Hey, how's it going?
HTC Vive?
HTC went on to release a business version of the headset with a 12-month commercial warranty. It also came with a deluxe audio strap, longer cable, and a special support line. In technology, innovation's the name of the game. And with Facebook's billions of dollars hot on HTC and Valve's tail, they knew they would have to innovate for their next headset. And 2 years later, in 2018...
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you the HTC Vive Pro. It has the best available resolution and the best sound. 2880 by 1600 combined. That is a 78% increase in resolution over the current Vive in market.
Instead of 3 cables coming out of the headset, we now just have 1 proprietary port. There's also a link box and some cables. The head strap feels like a much better solution. Speakers built in, 2 cameras instead of 1, weighs 800 grams and has a similar FOV to the Vive. Coming in at $1,099, it received a lot of criticism at its launch. It also featured an upgrade to the tracking system. These are the base station 2.0s.
This one's got 2 of these spinning rotors in it, where the new one only has 1. So it's cheaper, it's smaller, it's lighter, less noise, lower power.
You can use up to 16 of them. They have a 25% higher play space, a 40-degree higher FOV, better tracking fidelity, and they don't need to see each other to work.
Basically the next generation, better in every way.
These are the new controllers. Apparently they have a more reliable trackpad. They look and feel identical. We just have to plug in the headset to the new link box, then just the power, display, and USB. Now we can swap out the base stations. It's much easier not having to fiddle around with the channels. The same power cable works.
So it was pretty easy to put on, set up and adjust. It has the addition of that slider to increase and decrease the FOV. I always want to have as much FOV as possible. The microphones are so bad at not picking up your breath. I'm running it through a voice filter, but it is quite frustrating. Automatically, I can see a resolution increase. You can still see a screen door effect though, unfortunately. It's definitely still there. As soon as you look at any text, sometimes the lens is just the God razor massive. Setting up these base stations was a lot easier. I just plugged them in and they just automatically worked with Steam, whereas the other ones were a bit more finicky. So I'm glad they fixed that. I did start noticing the base stations are quite loud. So if the room's quiet, you can hear this high-pitched hissing sound. It almost sounds like a bad power converter. I can notice a much higher field of view. colors are just beautiful. The black levels look amazing. Oh, that's the first time I hit my head. Can I notice a difference in these controllers? No. Apart from the fact that they're blue. The audio is really good as well. It does sound a tiny bit tinny, but I'm fine with it. I do notice when I move my head really quickly, the headset does wobble a bit, so it's slightly delayed with my head. I just can't get a tight enough fit. And it is getting very hot inside this headset. I can really notice the heat building up. It's a great addition having the speakers. I would definitely prefer them to those earphones, especially they're built into the headset, so you don't have to faff about. These controllers feel almost identical. I can't really tell the difference. Apparently they just work better, but the new controllers should have had joysticks, not a touchpad. I'm noticing my IPD just changes when I move the headset around. I'm not sure if it's because the headset's broken or maybe I'm too close to it or something. Just the tracking is so good with these base stations. Easy. The controllers just make playing this game a lot harder than it should be. Whoa, so beautiful. The blacks. It's pitch black. This is so immersive. Guys, the black levels on this headset are insane. It's so immersive compared to the LCD panels I usually use. Whoa. The audio is amazing as well. I love the audio. Oh, this is so beautiful. Whoa. We can also test out these two new pass-through cameras. It looks cool. It's a lot less glitchy as well, almost. It's still very blurry. Uni Lodge, I can read that. But 1026. Colored Ghosts, I can really notice, just looks a lot better. Much easier on the eyes now. So I could see myself using this. I will say though, I definitely just prefer turning it off and seeing the fake world. Does the price justify itself? Probably not. Does this justify an upgrade? Honestly, not really. If I had to choose between the Vive and wearing this, I'd wear this any day of the week, but the controllers, they feel the exact same. Apparently the trackpads are more reliable and they have better tracking and something with the battery, but I didn't really notice anything with that. The base station 2.0s are a lot better. They're just easier to set up. You don't have to fiddle around with the stations. You don't have to plug them in with a sync cable. It is so hot once you take the headset off. My face is sweating like crazy. Just this area is really hot.
The new base stations were cool and they seem to work a lot better. Gone was the need to change the channel it was on, and there's no need for a sync cable anymore, and you can put it almost anywhere in your room. Is there something new in these controllers? It didn't really feel like it. They just basically seemed the exact same to me. The resolution increase made it a good upgrade for me. The black levels on those panels is like nothing I've ever experienced in VR before. When you're in a dark room, it looks so good. It definitely ranks higher than the Vive. So the Vive Pro was a good upgrade depending on who you asked. But it couldn't have been what HTC had been working on for 2 years. HTC knew there was an entire market of people that wanted a VR headset that didn't have a PC. So it was announced at Google I/O in 2017 that HTC and Google would collaborate on a headset using Google's Daydream VR platform. These plans ultimately fell through, so they needed to make their own OS. Their answer to this was the Vive Focus, one of the first standalone VR devices which released at approximately $523. It was originally released in China but rolled out to the rest of the world. Same resolution as the Pro, but the refresh rate's gone down to 75 Hz. I managed to get the wide one, but it also comes in blue. The lady I bought it off husband had passed away, and she warned me that it can make you dizzy, so I'll have to keep that in mind. First thing I noticed is how little packaging there is compared to the Pro. The design reminds me of the ships and technology in Alien. It's a weird mix of the future and this hospital look. I'm glad to see a rubbery gasket. It's a lot more hygienic. I'm always happy to see USB-C. This appears to be for mounting the headset. It also came with a micro SD card. I wonder what we'll find on here. It has 6 degrees of freedom tracking sensors built into it. It uses the cameras to create a 3D map of the room and then follows your movements. I found a booklet inside I'm definitely going to read. And we've got 3DOF controllers which take AAA batteries. Very reminiscent of the Gear VR and Oculus Go. And finally, a charger. Putting it on is just as simple as putting on a hat. You just slide it on and we're good to go. You can adjust the back, but we don't really need to. The volume buttons on the side are well placed. The button on the top is good as well. Just sliding it. It doesn't feel like it goes to my preferred one, but what can you do? Comes with Vive Infinity, so it's a subscription service and you can play all their games, which is good because I don't think I would play $2.65 for Super Puzzle Galaxy. It's so useful when the menu grays out. It's really hard with some of the menus that don't. When I first put it on, I had to update the headset and it wouldn't update a few generations. I had to update manually about 3 or 4 times to get from the version I was to the most recent version. And once I'm at the most recent version, you can feel they have made a lot of improvements just with software updates. I have to say, I love how everything's silicon. That said, it isn't the most comfortable headset. Okay, I don't think this tutorial is needed, to be honest. It just seems like a waste of time. It becomes very apparent it's an Android headset. If you go to more settings, it'll just take us to an Android menu. So there's kiosk mode, which can be used for businesses. It looks like there's screw mounts on the top, so you can use it. I guess it would be cool to show off a product or something. I know what I want to do first, and I want to start a game. You expect everything to be in 3DOF, but it's cool having it in 6DOF. We just need some controllers though, because this controller isn't quite going to cut it. So one of the most popular games was Paper Jam. I'm so used to 6DOF tracking controllers, it's hard to play. Mon. Moo. Is that a word? Yes. Milo. Is that a word? Bar. Oh, I should have done bar. B-A-R. I tell you what guys, I'm glad we didn't do the tutorial. I've noticed as well, if you tilt the controller, it comes closer to you. The resolution is a bit painful, but for a standalone VR headset at the time, it's bearable. This game is cool, but there's no real point of playing this in VR. Yes. Okay, I've had enough of this game. Let's go home. The way I would describe wearing this headset is it feels like you're wearing a headset they give you for free on a plane. I'm feeling a lot of pain on my forehead. I feel like the silicon just is not strong enough. If we double tap the power button, we have this pass-through camera, and it is nauseating. It's very delayed, and I'm actually going to close my eyes while I use it. It's virtually completely useless. It actually makes me want to throw up. Oh my gosh. But it's cool, you can see your hands. I'm going to throw up if I keep using that. Oh, that was disgusting. The speakers sound fine, but I don't think I would ever want to use them for anything else. Okay, now we can play chess in 3D, which is cool. Passive, aggressive. Oh no, I don't want to do that. It wobbles if you move your head really quickly, which is really annoying, but it's whatever. It's cool that it has a built-in 6 degrees of freedom of movement, but you can already start to feel the limitations of the device are quite massive. The controller is just glitched out. So the controller thinks it's the wrong way around. Okay, how does this game work? So now I've got our controller all fixed up. I'm gonna have to listen to this for 50 minutes. Like I said with the Oculus Go, the ability to just listen to someone speak in VR is very small. The clickiness of the controller doesn't feel good with this. I'm not sure if it's because I have really big hands, but when you click down on this, it doesn't feel the most natural. Another really cool thing is the trackpad. I guess that would be cool for internet browsing, but I don't know why you would want to use this for internet browsing. Again, this game looks like they tried to flesh it out a bit, but so the game seemed very, very basic and limited. I couldn't recommend this headset unless, I don't know why you would have this headset. I guess it would kind of be cool if you wanted to show off a product demo, like a 3D, if you wanted to show off your car that wasn't built yet, you could put a 3D render and mount your headset to the wall, but it also has Vive port video, so you can watch videos. I don't really think that I would want to do that. And the micro SD card reader is appreciated, but I don't think there's any point you'd ever use it for. Again, the more I use this headset, it's cool for the time it came out. So for $523, I don't think this is really worth it. Oh, you can actually scroll through them. So yeah, this is shocking. 360 video, but the scale's off and there's no depth perception. Using this headset just makes me not want to use it. It almost makes me angry in a weird way. Photo. You know what I actually want? I don't know what I want. The menu's very slow and laggy to navigate. That's one thing you really notice as well. It doesn't appear, does it have 6DOF? No, it doesn't have 6DOF, so it's just a 360-degree short film, and honestly, this looks not the worst. The scale's off, and there's no 6DOF, which is annoying, but it's a cool way to experience a 3D movie. So I bought this VR headset off a woman's, and she was telling me it was her husband's, who unfortunately had passed away, and this was one of the short films he left on the VR headset. I'm not sure what the significance of this is to him, but I'm pretty much done with this headset, I think, though. We've experienced pretty much everything. There's a whole store as well. We've got Vive port. The menu is just annoying, I think. I wish it was like the quests. That's what I feel. These are some of the games you can download. There's a ton of them. They all seem pretty surface level and not worth playing. And through some miracle, you can actually get Steam VR working using this app called Vive, and you basically just launch it on your computer and your desktop and you're pretty much good to go. You can actually get it working with the base station and the wands, but I'm not going to go to that trouble now. So it launches you into this stock. We can even launch DaVinci Resolve. Was I editing the Vive? It's very hard to read just because the resolution's so low. You can sort of edit our video. Okay, and somehow we have Halo up and running. Usually we can make it really big or we can make it a bit smaller. We could just let it float. We could play on this massive screen. Yeah, the resolution is a bit of a problem. Reading text, I can read the ammo, 189, but as soon as we look at smaller text or things in the distance, I just see the screen door effect and I can just see the individual pixels. And the input lag is almost unnoticeable. I could even try and make it much bigger. There we go. I mean, not bad, right? You try and ignore the bit ratiness because that probably could be easily fixed. So I've taken this really old VR headset and given it some use, I guess. When I played Half-Life Alyx for the first time, my mind was just so blown. I was playing on the Rift S and it was like I stepped into the future. So this actually works and it's at room scale, so I can walk around the room. It's weird to think, but we're actually playing Half-Life Alyx. You can even grab the handrail. Whoa, there you go. It's a surprisingly cool proof of concept. It's actually working and it's not that bad. I mean, it's beautiful. And if you really wanted to, you could get it working with the base stations and the wands, and that would be incredible. But I'm very impressed that we managed to get this working. The app's called Vive. It's very simple to use, and I'm definitely going to try it on some of the other headsets, but wow. I'm impressed. Beautiful view. Before I got this, I didn't even know you could do stuff like this. It received positive reviews and it's a pretty incredible device considering the time it was made. The fact that you have 6DoF tracking in this is incredible. It looks straight out of an Alien movie. And it being on Android means there's a lot to play around with. The fact that you can get it working with Steam VR is pretty cool. But there was a massive content drought. The games you could play were surface level. I don't think there's one I wanted to play for more than 2 minutes. Oculus were fixing the content drought problem by creating game studios and releasing games like Lone Echo and Asgard's Wrath. But Oculus had Facebook's unlimited advertising pockets, and HTC didn't have an answer for this, leaving the headset in a strange place. I sure hope we'll see a lot of upgrades in the software though. While it's cool at the time, it needed a lot of work, which is why in the rank, it's coming in at last place.
Hey guys, I'm Dan O'Brien of HTC Vive, and I'm really excited to share with you the newest member of the Vive family, the Vive Cosmos.
Which released in 2019 for $699 US. The horizontal resolution's gone up by 100 pixels. First one to use this code gets it. Inside we've got the link box, which has a much more refined design. Some controllers, they feel a lot better in your hands than the Vive ones. The headset, which weighs 645 grams. The design looks a lot cooler in person. We've got all these new cameras for the inside-out tracking. It feels a bit more bulky compared to the original Vive, and some papers to read. I put the 2 included AA batteries in the left and right controller. Then I plugged in the link box and we're on to the setup. I was having a lot more problems than initially anticipated, but I eventually got there.
The Cosmos runs in this environment. To say it is annoying would be an understatement. You've got to set the floor height. There we go. That's a forward direction. Okay, the pass-through camera on these is absolute migraine-inducive. It just doesn't. Oh, it hurts. It makes you sick. Oh, we can also do the color outline. I'm loving the OB earphones. They sound absolutely incredible.
Another feature of Cosmos is it's the first headset to run the exclusive Vive Reality System software, a whole new way to interact with VR functions.
I can still see a screen door effect. The original Oculus Home was just so much better than this. You can already tell. This looks cool there. Oh well. No, I love stuff like this. Yes. Okay, so setting it up was an absolute nightmare, but once you're in the headset, I'm happy. These controllers, even with the tracking issues, feel so much better in your hands compared to the originals. The Vive controllers were just shocking. I thought this would be really cool, but it's more just useless. I would much rather actually good pass-through cameras. Okay, it'll be interesting seeing what the difference is between this and the Vive. The way the controllers feel in your hand, I really like. There's almost a lump here that does feel a little bit unnatural, but it feels good in your hand. This is a shocker. The tracking just is always losing itself. So behind my back, it's lost. You can't use the bow and arrow really, you'd have to use it from here. So you'd have to rethink about how you play the entire game. The tracking is just not work. If I stay directly still, it still just loses itself. Okay, let's try and play some Half-Life Alyx. I love how there's 2 extra controllers here, but it feels a bit unnatural. It's hard to know, maybe it's something I got used to. Okay, the tracking in this game seems to be working a lot better. It has a lot of momentary pauses. The controllers feel good, but the tracking is abysmal. And I don't know what, see, just even grabbing ammo in Half-Life Alyx, like a really basic thing. I suppose this game's kind of designed for base stations, so every time you get ammo, I'm like, whoa. I'm finding a lot of pain on my forehead, and I don't like the way the headset moves when you wobble it. I do like the addition of the silicone facial strap. It's so much better than fabric. I'm not a fan of fabric myself, but man, this was such a good game. Up close, the resolution looks mint. Damn, it's a shame they couldn't make controllers like this to work with the base stations, you know? Look at that tracking. You just cannot track. Oh, the tracking is so bad. Dude, the aiming is just not working. So if I do something as simple as put one controller in front of the other, the tracking just loses completely. And it doesn't even have to be that close together. It's just completely lost where it is. Even like a little bit on my side, it just completely loses tracking. If you point it downwards, you notice it too much when I'm playing, I'm finding. It's kind of cool that you can open it up, but a bit useless as well, because I'd rather just have pass-through that wasn't complete garbage. I find a lot, I just want to be in VR. I don't want to be in the real world. This is kind of annoying. It feels what I would describe as just straight up over-engineering. I'm used to playing Bone Lab. Okay, this will be the challenge. Got him. The resolution looks good. Once you start playing screen door effect, you just completely forget about. Compared to the original Vive, you can see better, obviously. Colors, nothing to complain about. They look pretty good. Up close, it looks amazing. I'm really noticing my forehead's feeling a lot of pain. So if I make this tighter, I'm still finding it just wobbles around a lot. After playing for a few hours, it still wobbles when I move my head left and right. I want it to be like suction cup to my face like this. And also it feels like the headset's kind of aligned in the wrong way to my face. So this one seems to just close your fingers. The fan is so loud. The colors inside the headset, I'm also happy with. I wouldn't have any complaints. The FOV seems to be where it needs to be based on the compromises. You know what I am a big fan of? The audio. The audio is on point. I just want to listen to music with this headset on. My neck's starting to get a bit sore as well. Tracking's gone. Overall, I just cannot recommend a single person buy this headset. It's almost so annoying to use. I don't even want to play another game on it. I do like the audio though. The audio is good. So the headset is so uncomfortable. I'm noticing as well my forehead is really starting to hurt. See, I've got really bad red marks, so they're already starting to develop. The display looks good. The resolution looks good. The FOV feels fine. This forward in the generation of VR, I'd expect some more improvements than I'm really getting. Even the original Vive, this almost feels like a downgrade.
I have to say, I did quite like these controllers. The lack of capacitive touch sensors was a bit infuriating though. It was a step in the right direction. It's just a shame these don't work with the base stations. The audio was okay, I guess. The Cosmos didn't really hit the mark, especially because it came out in the same year as the Index and Quest. That year, VR users split into 2 groups. Enthusiasts had an Index and everyone else had a Quest. That left the Cosmos in a really weird position where it didn't fit anywhere. And it was quite expensive. Even if it was half the price, I don't think I would recommend it. The controllers were a big problem too. They tried to fix them with updates, but the tracking still doesn't work right. They keep losing track when you're doing basic things, which really takes you out of the experience. It felt like they gave us the best tracking in the game with the base stations and then took it away from us. And then there was the price. It was twice as much as the Quest, making it feel kind of pointless. The hinge was the definition of over-engineering. I'd rather a decent pass-through camera. It felt like they didn't know what they wanted the Cosmos to be, or what they could even make. The Cosmos was a headset most people forgot about. Meanwhile, Meta was taking over the VR scene. They had tons of money, cool software, and a targeted plan for the future. Back then, if somebody asked what headset to buy, I would say just get a Quest. And if you really got into VR, you could buy an Index later on. I'd still rather have it than a Focus, which was the next thing HTC were going to try and improve. And in 2019, we got the Focus Plus for $799 US. Same resolution, refresh rate, weight and FOV as the original Focus. The face cushion looks a little bit bigger on the top. It looks almost identical to the original Focus, but it's got these added holes on the front. These are the new inside-out tracking controllers. They feel cheap and the grip button is super mushy. And finally, we've got the booklet and a bunch of cables. Now we can jump into the Vive Focus Plus. The menu's very slow, I'm finding. And now we can just run through the setup. My IPD appears to just be on the smallest one. Oh, this is a pretty cool setup. Ooh, the grip button feels really mushy. It just doesn't feel good. I'm just gonna quit. I can't be what a waste of time. So it looks very similar to the Vive menu. The UI is very slow to use. The choice of apps is scarily small. It looks like a lot of the same crap. There's a 6+6 section for your controllers and the games look pretty mid. Yeah, the tracking on the controllers is so bad. Oh, it barely works. As soon as you have 6 controllers, the options for games and experiences goes up quite a lot and they're much better games in general. But the tracking on these barely works. But this game's kind of fun. It's so much better than the original Focus games. I could see myself playing this more. It's quite heavy to wear on your head, I'm noticing. But the resolution, the lenses, the audio, it all seems the same as the original Focus. The audio is very, very tinny. I don't really want to wear this headset for any longer than I have to. This game's very basic, but it seems okay. It's not the worst. I've played worse games, definitely. Yeah, the tracking's abysmal though. It feels very heavy on my head. I can notice on the back of my neck. So if you move the controllers around, the controllers, even though if you hold them still, they still wobble around like a lot. Oh, the tracking is shocking to use. Let's try and get past this level. So I think the move is if we knock out this one. No, oh, we got it. So this game is much better than what you would get on the original Focus. They're still surface level, but they're the next level of the surface, if that makes any sense. The controllers feel good. I'm surprised they went with touchpads instead of joysticks. It really needed joysticks, to be honest, but it is what it is. There is still a massive content drought, but it is just such a leap. It's HTC's first proper standalone headset that holds its weight. The controller tracking sucks, but it does a job. It looks like the same pass-through cameras as on the original Focus. They're migraine-inducing. They make you want to throw up. Okay, I'm done. And we could just connect to the Vive business streaming app, and then we could just jump straight into it. Already, I don't know why they decided to go with touchpads. Really just needs joysticks. This game's the ultimate test of tracking. Oh, yeah, the tracking's just not going to be playable, I think. The haptic feedback on the controllers just feels really cheap as well. The tracking's not as bad as I thought it would be, but I'm definitely not enjoying the tracking. You can't really go anywhere behind you. It just completely loses it. There's something about the display that feels very murky. It almost feels jello-y. Look at that, the tracking just lost it. So you kind of have to... I can really notice the black levels feel really good on the panel. They're pitch black, and there's absolutely no light bleed on the bottom. Yeah, there's something wrong with the display. I think it's the tracking, but the black levels look stunning. Yeah, the tracking is so bad. If you set the base stations up with the Vive ones and then just use this as a wireless VR, it could be a good solution. Oh, whoa. The resolution looks fine. I think there's tracking problems. It just feels very jello-y sometimes. Yeah, when you move your head, something just feels off. It's hard to describe. I can see the resolution, but you stop thinking about it pretty quickly. The Quest 1's tracking was never this bad. The tracking isn't unusable, it just makes it very hard. And aiming just doesn't feel natural at all. Did you see? Just lost my hand then. Oh, it's back. Yeah, and it doesn't hold still when you look through it. I'm kind of learning to just adjust to it. That's the Focus Plus. It's a great addition having these controllers. It definitely makes the experience a lot better. And it goes from being a useless headset to a headset that you can actually use for a lot of things. But still, it's just not up to par with what you would need and compared to the original Quest. It's just the tracking on the controllers takes you out of the experience a lot. So we've gone from the best tracking ever to this. which kind of sucks compared to the Vive. Hopefully, as we go down the headset cycle, they'll get better and better, but we'll have to wait and see. But this is standalone and we should give it some credit for that, but the original Vive ones were just so much better. And hopefully it'll keep getting better as the years go on. It's definitely improvement on the focus, but it's still pretty useless. Then, in 2019, we got an update to the Pro model. It features eye tracking. I bought the full kit and it comes with all the usual things. We've got the link box, the headset. The only new thing in this headset is the eye tracking. It's done using cameras that are around the lenses. The other main difference is it's blue on the front and the headphones have a slightly different design. Other than that, it's almost identical. The base station 2.0s and the controllers. To get it set up, we just have to plug in the link box, which was already plugged into my computer from the Pro, my base stations, which are already in place. And then I just had to install a few drivers to get set up.
Now we're in the Vive Pro Eye, and the first thing we're going to do is turn on the eye tracking. So let's turn it on. Yes, I would like to turn on the eye tracking. Calibrate now.
It wouldn't turn on and it kept looping. To fix the problem, I ran this app that was installed on my computer when I downloaded the drivers.
And finally, after setting it up and finding a random forum post that told you how to fix the problem I was having, we can enable use eye tracking and then click calibrate. Rotate the knob until it matches the box. Oh, so it does, I guess, tell you IPD. That was cool. So I look at the dot and it lights it up. Wow. I finally got the eye tracking working in Neos and I'm quite blown away at how well it actually works. It can do really squinty big. It looks around really well. You can even see it on this guy. It just mimics me and it works really well. There are almost no apps that support this, but Neos is one of the ones that does. So this eye data actually shows your pupil dilation. So if I turn the lights off, you can see my pupils get bigger and smaller. My pupils are getting smaller as my eyes dilate, which is really cool, right? And then if I turn it off, they get bigger. And you can even see the data on my pupils here. And there's this little mini game you can play here as well, where it follows the orb. It's a bit of a shame because the main thing I wanted was menu navigation, and there's only a few games that actually have it working. But the eye tracking works and it's very cool. It definitely is more for developers. One of the original features of the Vive Pro was the finger tracking, and it works pretty well in Neos. It's super glitchy, but it works better than it should. So it can do movements like this, but if I move faster, it just completely loses it. It doesn't really get all the movements. If you put two hands together, just forget about it. But if you separate them, it's actually pretty cool. It can tell when you spread your fingers. Yeah, you can flip people off, give people the peace sign. This game's pretty cool. You could actually set up Vive trackers on the original one. Whoa, the speakers sound so good on the Vive Pro Eye. The eye tracking feature needs a lot of tinkering just to get it working. It doesn't just work out of the box. I have to spend a lot of time on forums, getting this OpenXR plugin, running some random app that was installed on my computer when I got the drivers just to get it working in Neos. Foveated rendering is too hard to set up for what it's worth.
I tried this method and there's only very few supported games, and on the supported games I couldn't even get it working.
I have a 3080, so I don't really have trouble running games on my graphics card, especially at this lower resolution. It's a bit pointless, but it is a lot of fun just playing around with that eye tracking feature. Out of every headset I got, this was the absolute hardest one to buy. It was impossible. There was one guy who had it on this random selling website in Australia called Gumtree that no one uses anymore, but apparently this guy did. I really love the OLED panels on this. It's very overpriced, and I'm starting to learn that if HTC says they have something in the headset, it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll work well. So even though it does have eye tracking, it doesn't necessarily just work in games. It's a lot of messing around just to set it up, and once you set it up, it's not really even worth setting it up. Once you have the headset on, I love it, but all this tinkering around gets very annoying very fast. This is a very niche headset. If you can buy one, buy it and resell it for more.
The Pro Eye is my favorite I've used so far. It's taking the top spot. Remember when they said the Cosmos was going to have a bunch of swappable faceplates? Well, in 2020, for $899 we got the Cosmos Elite, which adds Steam VR tracking to the Cosmos. The full kit came with controllers, base stations and the headset, or you could just buy the faceplate separately. To get it set up, you push down on this button, and then it pops off, and then you can push the Steam VR one into position. I've already got my base station set up and we're good to go.
Now I'm very excited to jump back into the Vive Cosmos, but this time we've got the Steam VR tracking faceplate. Not having to worry at all about the tracking makes this headset much more enjoyable. The tracking is perfect. One thing I'm noticing as well is the headset is really, really loud on the front. And again, I'm just so impressed with the built-in head straps. They just sound incredible. This is the way to do it. As weird as it sounds, with the tracking just working, it almost feels more comfortable now as well. I think it's because the Cosmos, I was constantly having to adjust it, whereas this one, you're in it. And I think with the Cosmos, when you lift the headset up, it blocks the cameras and the tracking was lost. But I reckon I lost tracking so many times. I was having problems with just having lights on in the room. With this, it's just working. I can put it behind my back, under my arm. Look, I can shoot it through my body and it'll still work fine. Oh, it's so much better. I can see a bit of color artifacting when you're not looking directly in front of the lenses. So when you look up, you start to see the colors, see like them blur away and merge into more greeny colors. But when you look up and around to the edges, the colors get a bit weirder and the resolution isn't as clear. Okay, I'm actually enjoying the headset now that I don't have problems with tracking. It goes from being this headset that I absolutely couldn't stand and never want to use again to one that's fine. My forehead hurts and I can feel it getting red and heating up. We'll do this one before we check out Alec. Remember, this is for like medical people. Wow, cool. I am really noticing the weight. It's heavy and you can feel that. So I don't understand why the original Vive felt more comfortable. This game is just not optimized for these controllers. It's a shame the Cosmos controllers don't work with SteamVR, but they're so aggressive. I don't think it's worth the upgrade. I think the Vive would still be good. It's pretty incredible though how just having the tracking just working makes me enjoy the headset a lot more, because with the other Vive it was quite frustrating. And this just is, I guess, a resolution upgrade and better speakers than the original Vive.
It seems like having these swappable faceplates just was bizarre. Why not just make one headset that's good and not announce 4 variations of it and only release 2 and only one of them's usable? It makes you wonder if HTC even have the capability to build them. And also releasing the Elite version kind of makes me feel like they knew the tracking wasn't good enough. Why not just make one good one instead of announcing 4 bad ones and only releasing 2? It makes you wonder, why does the Cosmos even exist? Bit of a hot take, but I prefer the Vive Pro. The black levels and the colors just look way better, and it felt like it fit better as well. And it's starting to feel like HTC are losing their way. The headsets are getting worse every year, and the same year HTC announced massive layoffs to their Vive teams. There was just so much competition, and the Quest 2 and Index had just wiped everything out. It wasn't looking good for HTC. They'd gone from complete market domination to barely having any of their new headsets represented on the Steam headset market share in 2020. And in 2021, we got the Focus 3 for $1,300 US. Inside, we've got the headset, battery pack, controllers, and a bunch of charging cables. The resolution is 108% higher than the Cosmos and a whopping 160% higher than the original Focus. It has a 113-degree FOV with a refresh rate of 90 Hz. The magnetic cover comes off with the perfect amount of strength. There's a USB-C and aux port on the side, on the bottom, volume adjuster's nice and clicky, and an IPD slider in the middle. And surprisingly, a micro SD card slot. It's got this swappable battery on the back, which brings the weight to 785 grams. This is the best headset they've designed so far, but charging it is a bit awkward. You have cables running everywhere. I went through all the mobile setup and updated it 4 times, but I just couldn't get it working. But then I figured out you could bypass the phone setup on the headset. Now I can jump into the Focus 3 and already it feels really comfortable. It's very heavy, but even though it's heavy, it feels so well distributed across your face. My pressure points are my neck and the top up here. So this one has pass-through cameras as well. My initial impression is it's just the Quest 2. So I'm getting Quest 2 tracking here. It looks almost identical. It doesn't give you as much of a migraine as the old Focuses. If you want to get a drink, it's actually passable. I had a quick look at the store and you can see it's business focused. So Vive's subscription service doesn't seem to work with this headset, which is equally as bizarre. You can tell the resolution's being scaled down. That's my first impression. The FOV is this rectangular shape with rounded corners. The FOV looks really good. It's really satisfying when you actually change your IPD. That feels amazing, and the buttons feel clicky. I'm a big fan of the design of the headset. The controllers have this really annoying thing where they click at the very bottom. They don't just click normally. Oh, so I can actually watch it like a movie theater. Most people think the PSVR 1 was PlayStation's first delve into virtual reality, but it wasn't.
Yeah, the resolution isn't getting its full potential, so they must have scaled it down to meet the CPU requirements, which it appears to just be blowing air into my eyes, which is the worst feeling. Again, so it's blowing air into my eyes. It's a horrible feeling.
The sweet spot is so small. If you move the headset even slightly, it goes blurry. The headset's comfortable, but I'm getting a sore neck. It still does that wobble thing, where no matter how much you tighten it, it kind of wobbles with your head. Imagine being at like an amazing view and painting it in VR. It's so cool when you can step around your artworks and see them from different points of view. You could just play around with this all day. You can even put the headset down and play around with mixed reality. There's a massive content drought problem. This is a business headset, so it's for looking at CAD drawings and things like that. So we can jump into the Vive business streaming. I gotta update it first, even though I just downloaded it. And we can play some PC VR games. The resolution was massively scaled down, so I'll be interested to see when we switch to PC, once I bump up the resolution, if we'll see a much bigger increase. That was so easy. So I just downloaded the app on my computer and I'm already on Steam VR. The resolution looks amazing. Wow. The fan on this headset is crazy loud. The fans just sound like a jet engine. It's heavy, but the weight balancing is very good, and the strap feels really good as well. So this will be an ultimate test of the tracking in this game. I can feel problems with the tracking. I'd be lying if I said I couldn't. Look at that. It just lost tracking. It seems to not even know where I'm aiming. The resolution just looks incredible. But again, for some reason, I know it's super high, but it really just reminds me of the Quest 2 question. The question is, would I prefer this to the Quest 2? No. And it's hard for me to sort of review this headset because it's actually for businesses. So it's not made for me. But, yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see what businesses use it for. I don't think it would be anything exciting. Maybe viewing CAD drawings, but I mean, surely they'll rather just go to Quest 2. Compared to the other focuses, it just feels much better designed. And I find it's very beautiful as well. Like, it looks good. And this is the last time on Vive standalone headsets that we'll have to use these Fresnel lenses. There's almost no reason to buy this headset. The menu and navigation was very snappy, I have to say. Controller tracking, it's just... I think about it more than I want to think about it. And the buttons have this click at the bottom for some reason. And there's no capacitive touch sensor. So it only knows when your fingers press all the way down. What's insane? Yep. Alright, last wave. The headset fan is just going. It is just so loud. This is really a business headset. It's just not made for people like me. The Focus 3 had a pretty comfortable design and the resolution looks pretty good, even though you can tell it's scaled down. The spatial audio is also really good. However, the display just didn't look the way it did on paper. The software is light years above the Focus Plus, but it's still painful. It reminds me of using phones before Android and Apple. It's clunky, slow, and things just don't work the way they should. While the design is sleek and it looks beautiful, it feels over-engineered in a lot of ways. Like the inability to charge while playing, despite having a swappable battery. Additionally, the headset's extremely loud. The fans feels like they're blowing you away. It was also blowing air into my eyes, which wasn't a good feeling. The massive content drought and higher price make it hard to recommend. The controller tracking, while better than the Focus Plus, isn't very good. It does a job, but it just doesn't work that well. Compared to its competition, the Quest 2, it just doesn't stack up. HTC aimed the headset at the business market, and even to them, I think it's a hard sell. It's definitely a massive step up from the Focus Plus, and I hope HTC are going to keep going in this direction on their standalone headsets. It's better than the Cosmos and old Focuses, but I definitely prefer the Steam VR tracked headset still. Despite its problems, it looks like HTC is somewhat back on the right track. And after lots of teasing, HTC had a press conference for their next headset.
There are already so many products on the market focused on improving your physical health, and that's hugely important. But many of us want to improve our mental well-being too. That's what we're aiming to address.
And in 2021, we got the Vive Flow for $499 US. I just can't get over how tiny this thing is in my hands. The headset looks really cool. It has this nice bumblebee design. It has a 1600 by 1600 per eye resolution. Weighing just 189 grams, it's the lightest headset HTC have made. It's cool to see the magnetic face cover as well. There's a diopter dial, so you can put your glasses prescription in there. And with a refresh rate of 75 Hz, it reminds me a lot of the first Focus. There's a bunch of cables and booklets that came with it as well. It's just so tiny compared to the original Vive. I plugged in the headset directly to power. It was telling me I needed the app to set it up, but the app isn't available on my current version of Android anymore. So I had to download a mirror of the app from some random website to go through the setup and update it over and over and over again. The app took a painfully long amount of time to set up, and it didn't even end up working. I later found out that Miracast wasn't even supported on my Pixel 6 Pro, so there was no point even using the app. Luckily, I had my Focus One remote hanging around, so I could just use that to set up the headset. One of the cool things about it is it comes with a diopter, so if you have a lens prescription, you can just put it on and adjust it. Start with your left eye, your right one, then we can reattach our face cushion, and then you're pretty much good to go. Change the volume on the top. It has controller tutorials and hand gesture tutorials. I don't think there's much point because I think we can figure all that out. The scale in these is just always completely off. And here we have the UI. You have to jump into Viveport to download apps, which is their subscription service. And I don't think we're going to find an experience much better than what you get with the Focus current. So we go back home. The UI is just so confusing and out of scale. Kind of reminds me of Revenge of the Sith. The 6DoF works really well. You can really feel the resolution far away. But again, all these experiences are very surface level. And almost all the experiences tend to feel like that. Just basic, not really worth playing. And the hand tracking works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't work. I have a feeling they wanted to release this just with hand tracking, and they realized that it wasn't good enough, so they had to ship it with a phone controller. If you change the volume, the entire UI gets dimmed, which is just not going to cut it. It's just extremely annoying. There's 3 or 4 different ways to control it, and they all are terrible. So using your hands just isn't going to cut it. Yeah, so this is a good example of the hand tracking just not working. Well, not working other times, but when you can, it's super laggy and it doesn't properly track them. So if you go like, even if you just do this, it loses it completely. The controller's very annoying because it's only 3DoF, and using your phone is just as annoying. So I'm guessing we can play this with other people, but no one would be playing this, so... The speakers sound good, but this headset seems almost completely useless. The IPD just isn't where I want it to be. The head strap they've built for it just isn't going to cut it for the weight of the headset. I couldn't imagine ever wanting to use this on a plane. You can enable pass-through. To say this is migraine-inducing would be an understatement. It's like lagging a little bit on my eyes, and it just does not feel good. So you can actually see the IR blaster in the tracker. Cool. Oh, I'm so dizzy. Oh, I hate this. Alright, that's enough pass through. So I have a lot of issues with the flow. The software is a disaster. The table menu is too high and low, and you can't adjust it at all. And the controls are just as bad. Why are there 3 terrible ways to control the headset and not just one good one? By the time I typed in my Wi-Fi password and logged in, I wanted to throw the headset off a balcony. The best app you can get lets you use Steam VR, and it's not even natively supported. The lenses are amazing, and the diopter vision is cool. Although I have heard a lot of complaints online that if you have a strong prescription, apparently they won't replace your lenses. They were perfect for me as I only have a slight vision issue. It's also not super precise, so apparently optometrists don't recommend it either. I loved how light it was. It just felt like it was floating on your head. I'd love to pin some things around, watch a movie and read a book, but you just have to battle with the software. And if you win the battle, you don't even get anything good. The resolution isn't really the best for watching movies either. The pass-through cameras were also just a migraine-inducing mess. There's something in this design that could have been the headset of the future, but I feel like the biggest issue I had with it was the software. It's just abysmal. It just doesn't fill any need or market, and it just seems like a waste of time. The design looks cool, but it's completely useless. Even the Focus Plus from ages ago is better. If you watch the reveal press conference for this headset, you can start to see some cracks in HTC showing. The presentation is just completely disconnected from reality. They said it was a mental health headset.
The Vive immersive glasses have been specifically designed to enhance our mental well-being. From Proverbs in the Bible, a cheerful heart is the best medicine.
And then in 2021, for $1,399 we got the Pro 2. It has a whopping resolution of 2448 by 2448. It also has a 120Hz refresh rate, which is the highest for HTC. It weighs 850 grams and has a 120-degree field of view. It comes with the same 2.0 base stations, link box. The headset's the only new thing. It looks very, very similar to the Pro. And finally, the same Vive ones. There's just so many things in the box. I plugged the power, DisplayPort and USB, and then the headset into the link box. My base station's already set up from the Cosmos.
The further I go down these headsets, the more I try to avoid Vive software and just go straight to Steam. Now I have to get used to not being able to flick up my headset like I could with the Cosmos. This feels so comfortable. It's crystal clear. I can really see the guard rays effect. I'm really noticing that, especially with the whites. They're sort of blurry around them. The resolution looks so good that I'd almost describe it as better than a 1440p monitor. Up close, it looks like 4K. Wow. So it really seems like the only upgrade from the Pro is that resolution. You know what I can really notice as well? Plays look rectangular, not circular. Oh, I got the controllers the wrong way around. Classic. The cameras aren't anything special. They appear to be the same. They're just not high enough resolution. Along with that, we also got 120 Hz display, which you have to turn on in this random setting in the Vive app. Oh, the resolution's so good, guys. Oh, I can feel the 120 Hz. This feels good, especially after using the Android Vive headsets. It just makes you appreciate the resolution on this bad boy. The display is beautiful, the colors are so vibrant. I really like this headset. That 120 Hz feels amazingly smooth as well. You can really feel it. How you really can start to get into the zone once you play for a bit. It just takes a bit of practice. I got it. Oh, yes. The resolution looks incredible. Oh, I could just spend all day in this headset. Wow. I wish they took out the pass-through camera, did what Big Screen Beyond did, and just made a perfect Steam VR headset with maybe just a microphone. The colors are beautiful. I'm forgetting I'm playing VR. I'm in this world. And compared to all the other generations of headsets we've been through, wow. It's easy to play as well because it just looks so good. This is the type of headset that makes you want to play VR. And as soon as I take this off, I'm going to show everyone, and it's really comfortable. I'm noticing the longer I play, more weight on my forehead. The FOV looks a bit more zoomed in than I'd like as well, and it looks like this rectangle with rounded edges, which is a bit annoying. Can't wait to see what Half-Life Alyx looks like in this. I feel like I'm playing better because of the resolution, and it's so good. You don't have to even think about the tracking. Whoa, ow. Hey, hit my head once. Forget about the guard rays when I'm playing, but they are there. Oh, the sweet spot with these lenses is not the best either. You move your head just a bit and you stop seeing. It's just a shame they couldn't have put pancake lenses and made it lighter. My forehead is getting very hot while I'm playing this. The guard rays with these lenses are shocking. But sometimes you notice them and sometimes you don't. They seem worse if you have white text. Wow. Well, this is the absolute best I've ever seen it. The detail is insane. I still can see the screen door at the very end, but it's so minor. Not sure if you guys know, but there's a cat down there. You can throw a can at it and it runs off. And there's a pigeon as well. It's almost like you expect it to be murky, and it's not. This is the closest I've felt to being in a video game. You can notice these little details that I couldn't previously see. Just absolutely stunning. It's nice having these touchpads when you're on menus. That's about their only use. It's the type of headset resolution that makes you want to play VR games, just to experience them from scratch again. I don't know how I'm going to go back to the Quest Pro after this. Whoa. And see the individual patterns and the individual projections in that shield. Oh, this looks so good, guys. Oh, wait, I forgot you shoot the legs on these. But the touchpad is killing me at this resolution. I can actually see that the walls are flat and there's this pixelated texture. So the game isn't built for the resolution this headset has. Okay, this is probably one of the first headsets I've used that actually makes me just want to use it in desktop mode. Yeah, so it's not doing very well with the multitasking. It sort of wants you to only use the controller for one app. This is like very good. I could see myself editing on this. And the coolest thing is, you can just make it as big as you want. The more you wear the Vive Pro 2, the more the weight bothers me. It's a very big headset. And the lenses, the Fresnel issues are very prominent. Oh guys, this is it right here. This feels so good. This is so immersive. I just wish it was 3D, but I'm sure there's a mod you can use for that. One thing I'm noticing when you look at the light, it actually hurts. It looks like the sunlight. It's just a shame I want windows everywhere. I want to have a movie here, Discord on one side. You know what I prefer? Playing like this to a monitor. If I could set up all my windows properly, I think I would honestly prefer this. And the headset was lighter. That's the problem. The lenses and the bulkiness of the headset are annoying me in this aspect. If the headset was lighter, had pancake lenses, and I could have all my windows everywhere, I would 100% rather play like this. It's kind of like playing Wii. I'm surprised how well this works. Let's make this more like a classical monitor. Okay, this is cool. You could play with one hand on the mouse and then aim on the other. Who's the best YouTuber in the game? 3.1k use. This one's doing numbers. Thanks, mate. That means a lot. The more I use this, the more I think it can be used as a monitor. And what Apple VR is doing really well is using it as a monitor. Whereas Steam VR needs a lot more software updates to get there. I just really wish I could drag Windows around and harness my whole computer. But it feels like I'm still battling with the operating system. It could just be a few software updates. It's awfully close to use as a monitor.
I feel like I shouldn't like the Pro 2 as much as I do. The display is just amazing. It's the highest resolution VR headset I've ever used. It's a type of display that makes me want to play all my games on it and show other people. But then you see the God rays and you move away from the tiny sweet spot on the lenses and it takes you a bit out of the experience. It's so big and clunky and it's hard to justify the price. Oculus at this point have absolutely perfected their controllers and Vive still have these annoying ones. They're top heavy, they seem outdated and old. But I have to say, the resolution looks really good when you're playing games. It looks damn good. It's one of the first VR headsets I've put on that I thought it could actually replace my monitor. After the resolution, it just all goes downhill. The lenses leave so much to be desired. The sweet spot was just tiny. The audio is good, but this design is old. I wanted a Vive Flow with Steam VR tracking and a Pro 2 resolution, but it seems like we'll never get that. I miss the original Pro's black levels, but the resolution on the 2 is just so good. It was a really close call though. And finally, in 2023, for $1,099 we got the XR Elite. It has a 22% lower resolution than its predecessor, the Focus 3, but it makes up for it by weighing just 240 grams without the battery pack, or 625 with it. It has a standard 90Hz refresh rate and 110-degree field of view. It looks like an upgraded Flow. It has the same controllers we're used to, some cables, and the optional battery pack, which you can't change easily.
Now we're in the Vive XR Elite. I've been wearing it for about 10 minutes and my forehead is killing me. Let's get my IPD right. So I'm a 61 by the way, close enough. So it has pass-through. The depth perception isn't very good. It almost feels 2D and the scale is completely off. Okay, so this head strap I'm wearing just isn't going to cut it. For the headset, I have to say, is very painful on the eyes. Okay, our boundary's not going to work. Oh, this is hurting my forehead, wow. So it doesn't seem to want to use my controllers. So let's set the floor level. The magnetic covers on the strap is really cool idea, but the magnets don't seem to be strong enough, so it always sort of moves around. And again, the headset wobbles when you move it. Oh wow, that's cool. So it does the roof as well, does it? Look at the depth sensor in action. Oh wow. Jeez, this is so uncomfortable. I'm gonna have to try it without the head strap. It's almost unplayable. All the weight is pushing on my forehead. I can't describe every single inch of the headset. And it feels like it's like this and pushing on almost too sharp as well. Oh, whoa. That's trippy. Oh. Hello. It's so much better than some of the older headsets tracking. So it's sort of made for my desk.
Softer. Huh? Ouch.
There's something there.
Catch.
Are you gonna bounce off the walls? Oh, there you go. I love stuff like this. Now that's trippy.
Look, do you see the magic light on the right hand?
I love the way it's overlaying over your hand.
Draw a circle.
That's cool. It's very laggy. I think it's like a hertz issue, but I don't. Again, I'm really noticing the resolution's fine. It seems to do the job, and the headset's just really uncomfortable. Okay, so now I'm just going to transition to the wired mode. Oh, it feels so much better, guys. So much lighter. Yeah, this is the way to play. To take the battery off the headset and put it into your pocket or just plug directly into power. It feels so good. It almost feels like you're not wearing a headset. Does anyone remember Rage Comics? Gosh, painting in 3D is so cool. And then you give him one of these bad boys. Okay, now this is cool. Whoa, I like this. You can really notice when I put my hand here, it's not to scale. The pass-through cameras aren't really doing it. This is just so much better than anything you can do on a computer or draw. Headset's doing really well. It's not lagging. The resolution could be better, but I'm happy with it. It's just such a shame they lowered the resolution from the previous headset. It does move around if you move. The UI is a bit annoying as well. I don't know what's going on with this store, and then you have to open up the Vive port store, and it does wobble around a lot when you move it. It's not tight enough. It does the job. I think the Quest Pro is just a better headset than this still, but I'm pretty impressed. What color am I? Blue? So light. I wouldn't describe it as comfortable, but it just feels like there's nothing on your head, and you often forget it's on your head. The resolution, especially when you're reading text, really feels like a Quest 2. In all fairness, this game is designed for base stations, but the controllers just cut in and out. Yeah, the controllers just lose tracking when you're close to the headset. Less than ideal. While I'm playing, I have to actively think about the tracking. It feels so comfy on my head. When I do this, it barely even moves around. When I go swimming in the ocean, I have goggles, and you wear two straps on the back of your head, lap one over the other, and it locks the goggles onto your face. So I'm getting a similar effect with this. This cover is really good. It just feels so light on my head. Those tracking issues, did you see that? It just loses tracking while you're playing. I mean, look at that. I'm barely even putting it behind my head. The field of view feels pretty good. The lenses look pretty good. When you're reading text and things, you can sort of sometimes see this halo effect around text, especially with the color white. Resolution, I want more. Going from the Focus 3 to this, and I understand it's a very small form factor and it being comfortable, but it's hard not to ask yourself the question of, is this better than a Quest 3? Look, I just lost tracking again. The answer is just no, you know? The tracking is frustratingly bad. The resolution's not high enough to make a monitor, but it's just, the comfort of it is incredible. It genuinely feels like there's nothing on my head. That's what I'm noticing the most. It feels like it's floating. But I do think the resolution holds it back. I say it's comfortable, but I don't know what they were thinking with this glasses type design. Almost just from here to here, a rubber band or something, who knows, but it just seems like they give you weird options for putting the headset on. Speakers sound good enough. Yeah, the tracking is just, especially once you're near the controller, just drops out. Starting to get the hang of it now. Tracking just lost, just then. You know, I think it's happening enough where it just takes out the experience, and you can really notice those resolution issues when you look far away. Just the way the triggers work is so frustrating to me. So they only click at the very bottom. So I really start to notice in fast-paced action, the tracking just gets unhappy. Close to my head even. It just loses it. But it's doing better than I thought. Do I think about how annoying the tracking is when I'm playing? Yeah, I do. I guess that's the ultimate test. Like just then, it just lost tracking while I was aiming. I'm just having a lot of those little moments where it loses tracking. So this problem you have when you put one controller in front of the other and it just loses track of where your hand is becomes prominent a little bit if you aim. So if you want to aim, it just doesn't, you almost have to feel it. In terms of tracking, the Quest is just so much better. Look, the thing is though, it's really light. It's not designed as well as it could be. It doesn't really fit on your head the way it theoretically would. So having that depth sensor is really cool in AR games, but it's so glitchy, and it's all these little things with software that become a problem. That's what I'm finding, like having to close an app twice, or the depth sensor when your hand's going over something, you're getting 3 frames a second. And it's all these tiny, tiny, tiny issues that are adding up, making me not like the headset. I mean, look at that. Surely it would know. But the lightness of it is incredible. There's something here, but just like they always seem to do, they missed it. They almost built the perfect headset, but they just missed the mark.
It wasn't received very well when it came out. Most people were just losing faith in HTC's ability to make headsets. For me, it goes in between the Vive and the Focus. And this is just my list of the headsets, which I'd prefer to use daily in order. And that's the last one they made. Thanks so much for watching the video. I can't believe we've gone through all 11 of the headsets. It was an absolute joy. And we got to see the evolution from the very start to the very end. It's a shame HTC seemed to fall into the same trap they fell into with the smartphone market. They got in early and did really well, and then it just drizzled away into nothing. But thanks so much for watching the video, guys. I'm out.